The Galactic Council had classified Earth as a primitive world for 3 centuries. Their anthropological drones observed humanity from orbit, cataloging behaviors, measuring technological progress, and noting one peculiar pattern. Humans appeared terrified of fire. Every time flames erupted in their cities, humans fled in panic. They developed elaborate systems to extinguish fires, dedicated entire professions to fighting them, and created strict regulations around their use. The Council's leading Xenops, a crystalline being named Vexler, published a definitive treatise, Humanity's Pyrophobia and Evolutionary Weakness. It was this fundamental misunderstanding that led to the Council's catastrophic miscalculation. Dr. Melissa Kaya stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, humanity's first deep space warship, watching the Zithran fleet approach. 20 massive vessels, each the size of a small moon, hung in the darkness like malevolent stars. Their weapons arrays glowed with contained plasma, ready to reduce Earth's orbital defense platforms to atoms. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Burok Demir announced from the communications station. His voice remained steady despite the sweat beading on his forehead. "Put them through," Melissa ordered. The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing Commander Vexter, the Zithran fleet leader. His scaled face twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. "Human vessel, you will stand down. Your species has been designated for controlled extinction. The Council has determined that Earth's resources are required for more capable civilizations." Melissa leaned forward in her command chair, her dark eyes reflecting the stars beyond the viewport. "Commander, I think there's been a fundamental misunderstanding about my species." Vexter's crest flared in amusement. "There is no misunderstanding. We have studied you for centuries. We know your weaknesses. Your fear of fire is legendary throughout the Council. Even now, you flee from it like frightened herbivores." A thin smile crossed Melissa's lips. "We don't fear fire, Commander. We respect it. There's a difference. Your semantics will not save you, human." Melissa glanced at Burok, who nodded slightly, confirming all systems were ready. She turned back to the viewscreen. "Did your studies tell you why we respect fire, Commander?" Vexter's expression suggested boredom. "Because it destroys, because it consumes, because you are weak." "No," Melissa said softly. "Because we learned to control it. Fire was humanity's first tool, our first weapon, our first step toward civilization. We didn't run from it, we carried it with us. We used it to forge steel, cook food, warm our homes, and yes, Commander, to wage war." "Primitive applications," Vexter dismissed. "Your chemical combustion is nothing compared to our plasma weaponry." "That's where you're wrong." Melissa stood, her voice gaining strength. "We didn't stop at chemical combustion. We went deeper. We split the atom itself and unleashed fire that burns hotter than stars. We call it nuclear fission. And then, because that wasn't enough, we learned to fuse atoms together, creating the same fire that powers suns. We call it thermonuclear fusion." For the first time Vexter's confidence wavered. "You're bluffing, Burok. Show them." Lieutenant Demir's fingers danced across his console, activating Fusion Lance Array. All capacitors charged. Stellar core temperature weapons online. The Prometheus transformed, ports along its hull irised open, revealing weapons that glowed with barely contained fury. The ship's reactor, a miniature sun bound by magnetic fields, fed power to systems the Zithrans had never imagined primitive humans could possess. "You see, Commander," Melissa continued, "when your species saw us fighting fires, you thought we feared them. You didn't understand we were practicing. Every firefighter who walks into an inferno, every scientist who handles volatile chemicals, every child who learns to respect a candle's flame, they're all learning the same lesson our ancestors learned 1,000,000 years ago. Fire is a tool, and humans are very, very good with tools." Vexter's scales paled. "The Council will not allow." "The Council made a mistake," Melissa interrupted. "They studied us, but didn't understand us. We don't just use fire, Commander. We are fire. Every cell in our body runs on controlled combustion. Every thought in our brain is an electrical fire jumping between neurons. We are a species that learned to eat, breathe, and weaponize oxidation itself." The Zithran fleet began powering up their weapons, desperation replacing confidence. Melissa's voice turned cold. "You came to extinguish humanity, Commander. Let me show you what happens when you try to fight fire with fire." She turned to Burok. "Lieutenant, activate Project Prometheus. Show them what we named this ship after." Burok's hands moved with practiced precision. "Aye, Captain." Engaging thermonuclear torpedo array, fusion lances locked on all 20 targets. Antimatter warheads primed. The space around the Prometheus lit up like a newborn galaxy. Missiles streaked forward, each one carrying fire compressed to impossible densities. The fusion lancers fired beams of contained stellar plasma that could cut through the Zitharan ships. Shields like they were paper. Vexter S ship was the first to die. The thermonuclear torpedo struck its forward shield, and for a brief moment, a miniature sun blossomed in the void. The explosion was so bright that Melissa had to shield her eyes. One by one, the Zitharan vessels fell. Their weapons, impressive as they were, proved no match for humanity's ultimate expression of controlled fire. In 15 minutes, it was over. 20 ships reduced to expanding clouds of superheated gas. Melissa slumped back in her chair, suddenly exhausted. Burok, open a channel to Earth Command. Tell them the Zitharan fleet has been neutralized. Yes, ma'am. He paused. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from the other council species. They're requesting immediate peace negotiations. Melissa nodded slowly. Tell them we accept, but make sure they understand something. Humanity doesn't fear fire. We never did. We've spent 1,000,000 years learning to carry it, shape it, and when necessary, unleash it. Any species that forgets that lesson does so at their own peril. She looked out at the debris field that had once been the Zitharan fleet, cooling embers in the cosmic dark. Somewhere, long ago, a primitive human had picked up a burning branch and carried it back to their cave. From that single act, an entire civilization had been born. A civilization that turned humanity's oldest tool into its most devastating weapon. The aliens had thought humans feared fire. They had been catastrophically, fatally wrong. Humans didn't fear fire. They were fire. And the galaxy was about to learn what that meant.